Awesome.
Right, Andrew, you're in the driver's seat.
Perfect. Sounds good. Let me share my screen and we'll get started today. Really looking forward to sharing with all you guys. Just a moment here while I get everything up and going. So, just a little bit of background about me and who I am, what I do, and why I do it. I have been in online learning almost 20 years at this point. I also do keynote presentations. I've been doing that about 8 years. And I'm going to go through a wee bit of my backstory and how I got started on it because I have a different way of using some online courses and making them beyond the standard talking head video to really make them engaging, to really help them with your company. At the end of this presentation, I do have some techniques on how to be able to use those courses as well as coaching, because I think that's an integral part of online courses, how to make all of that work. But the first thing I want to start off with is what would you rather listen to?
Hmm.
Do you want to listen to a college lecture or do you want to listen to a TED Talk? A lot of people would probably say TED Talk, right? But why do we want to do that? What's the difference between the two? Is it engaging? You think a lecture's engaging? Some are. I had some really good professors in college. I had some where I kind of felt like the person on the right there falling asleep at the thing. What really makes things engaging? And for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to know what was the difference and how we can still learn in a TED Talk. How are we able to do that? My journey started on a really bad FDA compliance training I had to create. I was handed down by my boss's boss, and like three compliance lawyers, and they gave me this specification document and they said, "Here, I want you to create a course out of this." And I'm looking through this document going, there is no way that anyone is going to get much out of this. It's just not going to work correctly. And so I ended up doing what my job, created this presentation. It was 164 slides long, took about an hour and a half to complete. Because the universe works in interesting ways, of course, the day that I complete this, we were in the middle of an FDA audit, and I can remember walking into this conference room. At the end of the table is the FDA auditor. Around him are a group of people with initials in their title, and I have to present this thing. And so I hand it over to him, and I wait for an excruciating 5 minutes for him to review it, go through all of the pages. And he looks at me, stone faced, and says, "Is this meant to teach them or is this punishment?" And it was at that moment that I realized I never wanted to be in that moment again. I also got my cardio in for that day very quickly because I think I had a really brief cardiac event. But I realized what we had been doing in the learning industry for a long time was what we called check a box training. It was really designed just to make our superiors feel good. And I realized I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So this started me on a journey we're going to go through today about learning about how to actually create really good training and not committing what I heard referred to at one point was academic assault, which really was what this FDA training was. So we're going to go through some of that today. You're also going to get some takeaways from that as well, so that way then you will be able to be able to implement some of this in your training. Before we get going, what I'd like to do is I am monitoring the chat as we go through. There are some common breakpoints as I go through this presentation as well. So what I'll do is I'll kind of keep one eye on the chat, so that way if you guys have questions, feel free to type them in. We'll make sure we get to everyone at the end of it, but I may break in the middle and go into some more detail as well. So I kind of like to this free flowing. I like that back and forth. I've been a virtual trainer for almost all 20 years of what I do, and something about having that back and forth really helps to be able to make it feel like there's an audience around. So I mentioned to you that I knew there was a better way than than academic assault to be able to train people. Now, my mother's a neuropsychologist, and neuropsychologists have a very specific way that they're trained. They're trained not just like a regular psychologist, where they do have that training as well, but they also know how your brain works. Fun facts like if you write in cursive or you print, there's two parts of your brain that process that information. So, because of this, and because I was about 10 years old when she got her PhD, and I was her lab rat when she was learning how to do all of this testing, school psychologists hated us, my brother and I. So I learned that the brain has specific ways of working, and I wanted to find a way to be able to trigger all of those special things in our brain that make us learn the best, that are the best way for us to learn and that make things very effective. So after a really long ADHD deep dive into this process, I learned a few things about learning and how to make it more effective. And so here are the three things: micro learning, priming, and your course structure. Let's go into micro learning first. I had a client years ago who was an OSHA compliance client, and I was in charge of their training curriculum. We had courses. The courses were about 5 to 7 minutes. Now, these courses were designed for construction workers. Most of them were smokers. So we wanted them to have about 5 minutes. So while they went out on a break, they could go through and do these courses. But there's another side to why we do 5 to 7 minute courses. It's called micro learning, and it's a really effective technique. Think about how you absorb information. And I'd like you to actually think back to that college lecture, because most lectures are what, 45 minutes of actual talking. How much do you actually get from that lecture? You'll get bits and pieces. People tend to zone out though. So what happens is with micro learning, there's a few benefits. First one is that I can break it down into bite-sized chunks. That's the absolute best way to learn, is bite-sized chunks. Let somebody kind of bite off a little bit here. Let them sit with it for a while. They take the next chunk, they sit with it for a little while. Second thing is it really respects people's time. I can spend as much or as little time as I need on that course. We're all entrepreneurs. And our work-life balance is very, very different. I have a podcast, and the intro to it is there was a reason why we left our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And that's really what we feel as entrepreneurs. Micro learning works the best for us because we can allow a very specific amount of we can allow 5 minutes here, 15 minutes here to our training. Let's talk about Sweet Spot and how it works. So as far as videos, the videos that I'll create are about 7 minutes long. 5 to 7 is about the sweet spot that I've found per topic. 14 is the maximum you can go. There's a lot of studies behind this, but that's the most you can hold somebody's attention on something that they're learning is 14 minutes max. Anything more than that, and you tend to they'll zone out on you. So that's really the best. So micro learning, break it down into bite-sized chunks. Priming. So many years ago, I was this was right at the beginning of my deep dive. Um, I was working I was in a training industry event, and I signed up for a lecture by a neuroscientist. And this man had worked with Google. Google has this interesting thing where they will put employees under an fMRI and learn how they work, and they'll take neurodivergent people. So this person thinks this way, this person thinks completely differently. Let's put them together on the same team. They really have this interesting thing. And I nerd out to stuff like this, so it sounded like it was a lot of fun. First exercise he had us do, he said, I want you to come up with as many terms for switch as you can, as many synonyms or as many different words around that concept. And we did. We came up with about 30 of them. And then he gave us a list. And he said, okay, give me a color. We said red. Give me a car, Ford. Give me this. And gave us a list of about 25 different words. Throughout the day, he would test us on those words. And even the best of us, for the word cloud, if you will, the one without the labels, we would get 9 on a good day, 8 or 9 or so. But we could recite every single one of the primed data. So color, red, car, Ford. We could recite every single one of them, and we had rehearsed it once. This is where the tell them before you tell them, then tell them concept comes in. If I prime you to get data, you will learn it better. That's why I show you all 3 topics first, and then we'll go through the actual concepts itself. I do it because it's a type of priming, and it really helps your audience to be able to it really helps your audience to be able to absorb that information. Okay. And the third one is course structure. Going along with priming, what I will do is I use a format that says that at the beginning of the course, I will always have an introduction to the course, and at every beginning of every module, I will always have an introduction saying, here's what you're going to learn. In that, I also have a what's in it for me. Using that course structure really helps me to be able to not only make it relevant to my learners, and it's relatively easy to say, you need to learn this information because X, Y, and Z. makes it really easy for them, but it also primes them to learn. They're already getting ready for some of the information that you're doing. So I always start off with a what's in it for me introduction paragraph. And then at the end, I'll do a why did I learn that? What did I learn and why did I learn it? Always helps. When you're building a course, I'd always recommend I use post-it notes, and I will write at the end of this course, learners will be able to. And then I'll take post-it notes and say they'll be able to do this, they'll be able to do this, and just write them down on post-it notes, put it on a big wall and rearrange things as far as the structure. Then I'll be able to, so that way, then I'll be able to get it in my head. So when I'm actually doing the content, that's the way I'll do it as well. Now, going even farther than this, because I totally nerd out to learning, that's my world and I love doing it. How do I make it engaging? Because while being brain-based and helping you to create online courses that work with your brain is great, let's take it to another level. Those that were in our breakout group saw me break out. I have this little cheap Chinese knockoff of an Oscar. I call him Oliver, Oscar's not so good looking brother. And I have him sitting on my desk because he is there to remind me that I want to create training that is so engaging that I want it to be like a binge-worthy Netflix show. We can sit for hours and watch a Netflix show episode after episode after episode after episode. And while it's entertaining, I love my Netflix shows, so no judgment here. We're not getting a huge amount of value out of it. What happens if we could make training like that? And so, yet another ADHD deep dive, because that's how I roll. I came up with three main things that I use inside of training that helps a lot. The first one, no visual junk food, cinematic techniques, and visual storytelling. So let's start off with no visual junk food. I'd like you to take a look at this image. If you've ever eaten at McDonald's, you're familiar with the menu. It's designed to taste good. I wouldn't really call it food. It tastes good. Sometimes makes us feel good. Maybe not the day after, but well, we're eating it. But there's not really a lot of nutritional value. You end up feeling hungry later on, and it just fills you up. It's empty calories. When I see presentations or courses that are just filled with tables or filled with bullet points or somebody just talking at you, I think all of us can understand what talking at us is. It's just reading off a script. I had one course that I saw where they literally read off the bullet points on a slide. That's visual junk food. It makes us feel good. It makes the trainer feel good because we feel like we're giving additional value. It feels like really, it feels like we're giving a lot of value, but it's empty calories. No one's going to remember the information you have. They're not going to remember what you do. They're not going to remember this information. And there's a few reasons we do this. We feel like we're trying to give value. That's one. Okay. So the they feel like they're trying to give a lot of value, but what ends up happening is you end up turning the hose on them. My grandfather had this saying. He's like, I just asked for a glass of water. You don't have to turn the hose on me. You end up hosing them with information. People get completely flooded. Um, they need bullet points so they'll know what to say. I use show notes. I actually have them in my presenter view here where I'm actually kind of sometimes reading off of notes to make sure that I remember what each slide is. And those are the two main reasons why you have all of this visual junk food, but it's you're not really doing what you set out to do, and that is to educate. Okay. Second one is cinematic techniques. It's really interesting. When I first started in online learning, I didn't do this. And once I switched, I actually noticed that learner retention went up. It's really interesting. The quality of the videos that you have makes a difference. So I want you to take a look at this. There's two courses here. The pair on the left are a course that I just did recently for a client. The one on the right is a very, very old course I did a number of years ago. Which one do you think looks better? Like, which one would you take more seriously? They both have great content. I did put a lot of work into both of them. But which one would you want? You're going to engage more with the one on the left. I actually hired a cinematographer to do some of this because I wanted that very specific look. I wanted the people to be able to not only does it look professional, you're used to seeing high quality material. You're used to seeing Netflix binge worthy material. Okay, folks. And the last one, visual storytelling. A picture is worth 1,000 words. It is 100% true. We learn visually. A lot of people say that there's visual, auditory, and tactile learners. Visual learners are by far the majority in the three of those. I want to go back to this image for you. When I showed you visual junk food, probably a large majority of you, or at least most of you, understood what this meant. And you've probably brought up an idea of a couple of slides you'd seen that look like that with a whole bunch of things on it. Really busy. Okay. We're wired to learn through pictures. Pictures are emotional. And so what happens is when you see a picture, it triggered an emotion. I know in most people's time zone, it's kind of getting towards lunch. So sorry if I made you a little bit hungry, but you know, we're wired to learn emotionally. Pictures evoke an emotion, and they really can be used as a powerful tool to be able to help people to learn and to back up the information that you're learning. So with all of this engaging and all of these things, now how do I get learners to actually learn and how do I get them to actually retain the information? See, people forget 50% of the information presented to them within 24 hours of learning it. It's called the forgetting curve. There's a lot of studies behind how this works, but we forget a lot. We really do. And even if you think about trying to recall the last Netflix show that you saw, you probably can't remember some of the plot. You'll remember certain portions of it, but you won't remember all of it. There's a few things we can do, though, to engage, to increase that retention. So there's two main things. We're going to go through some of the information retention. We're also going to go through the role of workbooks and how they work. So let's talk about information retention. I know quiz is a really bad, four-letter word. It actually is a four-letter word, so that works out really well for me, and that joke landed hopefully well. But quizzes are something that we can use to be able to help learners to engage, but also to retain that information. It's interesting, even a simple like four answer multiple choice question is still enough to be able to help retention. And here's how it works. There's two ways we use it. At the end of every module, I use a knowledge check. It doesn't have to be difficult. What I want people to do is to take that information they just took in and apply it. By answering those questions, you're causing your brain to recall that information. That recall, just the process of doing that, reinforces the information. And all final exams I do are practical. Here's how would you use this information in this specific scenario? That also helps too with retention. So that's the what's in it for me. Yeah. So I went back. Learners will forget 50% of what they learned in 24 hours. The way to get around that, sending out a simple email with a 1 to 3 questions, multiple choice. Just a quick quiz, does not have to be hard. Actually, it shouldn't be difficult. Within 24 hours of the course completion, that resets that curve. Ideally, perfect world, send the same, so the different set of questions, 1 to 3 multiple choice questions within 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days, and 14 days. If you do it in that cadence, I have to go back to the study, but I think it's an 85% retention rate, 85 or 90% retention rate within 30 days. It is really high, and it's really interesting technique. It works really well. Something to put in there. Workbooks are also a really great way to increase learner retention. Think about it. Now you can go back to something and refer to what you've already learned. Also, by going back through that workbook and looking up the information, you're now causing your brain to recall that information, which then makes it even more relevant for you. Now, I want to go into a little bit about how to structure courses. So we're going to go a little bit quickly through this. And the first one is how to use courses and structure them and use them as a tool in your entrepreneurial toolbox. So we're going to talk about educating your customers, implementing coaching, and price points, because price points is the one I am the most passionate about, because I think people don't do pricing of courses correctly. And I want to show you some of the techniques and some of the ways that I've seen it go wrong. So let's go for your educating your customers. I'd like you to think about the amount of goodwill that your customers will have for you if you are their education source. Education causes edification, and it's something that really can help your customers to become more engaged and to help them to really understand your concept and to apply it. I work mainly in the financial industries as far as my clients are concerned, and we teach some pretty high level concepts. But part of what it is we have educational platforms that allow us to be able to create this tribe of people who know what they're talking about, have a common experience as far as education is concerned, and because we have helped them, because we've edified their lives, they will now be a customer of ours for life if we do this education properly. Coaching, there's two, so coaching and courses have two different purposes. Courses lay down the foundation. It's the theoretical discussion. If I need to build that foundation and to show you how to do something, the course is the way to do that. Coaching is an extension of that. So what pure coaching is now that I have that information, how do I apply it and get real-time feedback on that application? So the course is the teach me how to do it. The coaching is let me go try it for myself. And if you implement both of these techniques, you really can help learners get the most out of your courses. So using them as complementary. And last but not least, price points. There are so many people out there who are very hesitant to charge large amounts of money for courses. That doesn't mean that every single course has to be expensive. I have some courses that I offer for $19, and I do it because it's a lead magnet. I can use them for various uses. But I had a client recently that I'm working with, and I had to tell her, why don't you triple these prices? Because there was not a fair value proposition here. If you give something away for free, people will not value it. Think about the last time you got fries with a burger. Having a higher value allows you to give more value to your clients. And so price points, as far as courses, I've had courses that will start at 500, they go up to 10,000 a pop. It depends on the amount of value that you're giving and the value that the learner will get back from that. I've had a couple of real estate courses that we sell for $6,000 or $7,000 a seat because the people that are learning will get all of that money back and then some, even on a first deal. So making sure that that price point is high enough to be a value add, and also making sure that as far as coaching is concerned, that it's high enough to be a equal value proposition between you and the learner. That's another thing that I see people do is they're like, I'll do one-on-one coaching for $500 a month, and that's really low. It's most of the time I'll tell them add a zero, and that's your minimum. Uh, Making sure that there is a value add for it, and both you and your learner are giving the value. So thank you for listening to me talk. I really appreciate it. I do see a couple of questions in the chat. I'll go back and take a look at those in just a second here, but I do want to do a giveaway for you folks. If you would do me a favor and either scan the QR code or put in that address, I have an ebook that I will give you on creating. I have an ebook on creating learning that I'm going to give out. If you do go in and sign up, please give me 24 hours. I just have to put a couple of final touches on the ebook, so it will be up. You will get it within 24. You'll get it in the next day or so. I just wanted to kind of put that out there and set the expectation. I'm still slowly digging out from my post-holiday to-do list, but I do want to give this away to you. So this way you can have some sort of an ebook with practical knowledge on how to really level up your training game. Thank you guys very much. I'll leave that up for there for a little bit, but let me scan back through the comments here. If you guys want to as well, you can open up and we can have a chat.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah,
That's
you're very
awesome.
welcome.
Yeah, come off mute if you've got a question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Deborah.
oh, I have a question.
I have an answer.
So during COVID, I'm a facilitator instructor
Oh, cool.
and did a lot of that virtually.
Mhm.
And so I have this content, and I was wondering if you could speak about a process or have some suggestions around taking that content and turning it into other formats that my clients could use. And so I'm specifically thinking about digital content.
Okay. The first thing I always ask when somebody engages in something, an engaging conversation like this is, what is your end goal? Like, what do you want to give to your clients? What is the value add for them?
So I want to educate them on the content,
Okay.
but I
What type?
also want to monetize it,
Mhm.
and to be able to, in many respects, support micro learning so that people are not having to, travel to take my course, that there's some efficiency for the client because they're not having to pay for an employee being away or travel to an event to access the training.
Okay.
And then certainly I want to monetize it.
Okay. So because you're a facilitator, so the other thing, the reason I always ask this question is, and I do this with my keynote clients as well, and the very first question I ask, if you ask me to write a keynote for you, is why? You want to be intentional with with how you're doing it. Not just, I've seen a lot of implementations where somebody will take um, content, repurpose it. They don't really understand that why, and it can go badly. So I think that would be the first question to ask, but also to get deeper into your question, to your answer. There are a number of platforms out there that are good that you can use. I have used Teachable for a number of years. That's a good one. It's been around for a very long time. It's not terribly expensive. Right now, I currently use Go High Level. My CRM also has a system within it to do e-learning. These are not traditional e-learning sources, though. So if you have forms, if you're a facilitator, SCORM files, they will not work. But like traditional video learning. So I would start that and think more about also about the value add. What are learners going to get? What are your learner objectives afterwards too? Because that's going to be used for your marketing. So from a technical aspect, Go Ahead Level is a good one. Teachable is a good one. School, SKOLL, or SKOOL is a really good platform to use where you can help to monetize. As far as the actual marketing and content is concerned, just be intentional with how you're moving it and make sure that people will understand at the end of this course, you'll be able to get these things that'll go into your marketing as well. Did I answer the question for you?
Yeah, I think that there's some good resources I can take a look at. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that the content is bad. I'm just saying be intentional with it. It's something I've seen before where somebody's like, I'll just put this up and do it. I had one client, I had to talk him out of this. He's like, he wanted to put all of his YouTube videos into one big long course. And I'm like, no, you aren't. He's a good friend, so I can talk to him a little more candidly. But he wasn't being intentional. And I think that's one thing, especially in the online, when you're selling online learning.
Great questions, Deborah.
Yeah.
Michaela put in a question there, Andrew.
Let's get down there. Do you have a favorite book, podcast, or speaker that really shaped how you approach your work? Um, from the one of the people that really sparked my interest in what I do, and this was more on the presentation side of things that then leaked over into the online learning side of things, was Nancy Duarte and her TED Talk. She goes into a lot of depth about how speakers work and the thought process behind it, and that's what got me started in TED Talks. Is I heard her, then I helped my mom write a TED Talk, and I've written a couple after that. And I realized that's where that first story comes from. I realized there's something about TED Talks that makes it incredibly easy to learn from them. And that's kind of what helped my ADHD deep dive. That's what started the first one. So as far as speakers, she's one of my favorites as far as that content is concerned. I have a lot of other friends. So a good friend of mine, Dan Clark, he's in Salt Lake City. He's been a speaker for 40 some odd years. He is an amazing storyteller. If you ever get a chance to hear Dan speak, I would highly recommend him. But his storytelling is also something that really helped me a lot. How he was able to tell stories. I can remember talking to him one day, and he pointed at like one of those signs that you have up at the side of the road that says, for lease in a strip mall or something like that. And he's like, "Look, I could tell you a story all day long about exactly the background to that, but everything is a story." And it really got me to thinking about how to use stories effectively, both in learning as well as in keynotes as well. You'll notice that I use stories to implement, various parts of how my journey went, and I do that intentionally. Let's see. Yeah, I think those are the big ones that were a big influence on and kind of helped me out a lot. I had a lot of other books. I have a huge book list. I have one line item in my budget just for Amazon Kindle.
Mhm.
I'm a voracious reader. I'm using I'm reading Never Split the Difference right now, which is a really fascinating book. So
Awesome. We've probably got time for one or two more questions.
sure.
I've got one. In addition to quizzes, what
Mhm.
are and the workbooks, are there other effective checkpoints that you've utilized?
Not for straight online learning, just because with straight up online learning, there's trend about going into gamification, and I haven't found an implementation that I really like. I'm super picky on it though, so that also makes it too. So for straight online learning, no. For in person, yes. What I often like to do is say, how would you apply this information? Like, what is it? Can you come up with a case study for, or give somebody a case study and say, how would you solve this problem? Is another way to implement or to get that retention up higher because now they have to recall the information, change it, and then they have to take it and put it into an implementation. It makes your brain work a little bit harder at it, and it will lead to implementation. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah. I've just found for years, it's funny. I've tried a bunch of different ways. Honestly, the quizzes, like a really easy quiz, doesn't have to be hard, really is the most effective way I found. Yeah.
Yeah, I've found with some of those courses, there's four answers, and one of them is obvious. Like it's not really trying to get you to think hard. It's just the recall, right?
Yeah. And that's funny. They work. As far as retention, they work. All I have to do is make you recall that information. And the funny thing is that like one question, notice I said in the earlier when I said do like 3 or 5 questions from the course. You don't have to hit every single topic in the course. As long as you recall that learning experience, it comes back to people. It's a really fascinating thing how your brain will just recall it. Like we said with the list of stuff, color red, car, forward, that all you had to do is list off the headers and we could recall every single word. It just brings it back again. And we could do the whole list. Yeah. It was really funny to watch that experiment.
Let's have the last question here from David Baker.
Let's see. One of our clients, Elite CEU, is showing a higher pass rate for their students from filtering their audio.
Oh, the one just above. Let's see.
Oh, sorry. What are some basic practices for incorporating microlearning with short segments if you're providing an entire day's worth of training? Um, so what I would use, even if you're doing an entire day's worth of training, you still can break up your course into smaller chunks. Then maybe after 14 minutes or so ish, go into a group discussion. 14 minutes group discussion. It doesn't have to be long, but it's at least enough to kind of get that retention going and it can make it more engaging because you hit that 14-minute cutoff and they're not going to learn anymore. It gives them a chance to get a break and apply what they're learning. So as far as in-person is concerned, I usually mostly do online learning, but I have been an online or an in-person facilitator as well, and that was the way we used to do it the best, David. And so that's what I'd recommend for you as far as like the micro learning techniques are concerned. Yeah, just when you're doing learning objectives for an in-person learning, like when I said at the end of this lesson you will be able to blank, or at the end of this course you'll be able to blank, make them a little bit more granular and then go from there and do it that and just do some sort of like a group discussion or just something in the middle of there to break it up a little bit, or a bathroom break or some other thing, break it up a little bit.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. This has been great.
Anytime.
Very
Thank you guys.
educational.
That was
You
fun.
uh you live what you preach, so that was good.
Appreciate
And
that.
thanks everyone for joining. Andrew, I put the link to the ebook. If you guys scroll up to 11:38, that's when I posted that. If you didn't get the QR code earlier,
Mhm.
and we'll see you all back here in a week.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.